Hi, my name is Heather Smith and I'm talking with accountants and bookkeepers from all over the world about how they've defined their receipt bank preference settings. I'm asking them their thought process behind the preference settings they chose. In this video, I'm speaking with Giles Wilson from Hong Kong.
So Giles, thank you for joining us here today. Can you let our viewers know whereabouts you're from and the name of your firm?
Yes, sure. So the company name is Linson Business Consulting, and I'm based in Hong Kong.
Excellent. So you're using Receipt Bank. Why do you like using Receipt Bank in your business?
So I use Receipt Bank for my own company plus my clients. And the ultimate goal was to remove as much of the manual touch of bookkeeping and accountancy as possible. And Receipt Bank certainly does that for me. So many of my clients are using that. They just take a picture and it comes into Receipt Bank and automatically posts into Xero. So rather than me having to manually input all these receipts and invoices, I can just do a review once a day just to make sure everything is booked correctly. So for me, for my business, I can spend more time on the quality added value services rather than the less added value services like bookkeeping.
So how much time do you think Receipt Bank is saving you in your business?
Well, that's a very good question. For my business personally, I don't have that many invoices and receipts to do. But for some of my clients who have about 100 transactions a month, where I used to manually book those, that would probably take me a full day to do that. It's probably saving me a full day a month rather than having to do that manually. When it works, it's seamless. It's wonderful.
And what do you do with that extra time that you find in the month with that Receipt Bank's freed up for you?
So I'm spending more time with the client and analysing their business rather than just throwing them a P&L and balance sheet once a month. I'm actually analysing their business and asking questions and trying to help them increase their profitability or their efficiency.
Thank you very much for sharing that with us, Giles.
Yeah.
So we're looking here in your Receipt Bank settings. We're looking at general, and then you've got your system settings here.
Yep.
You have payment status, and for receipts you've got paid, for invoices you've got not paid, and for credit notes you've got not paid. What was your thought process on that?
So ultimately, most receipts are paid by cash or ATM cards. So everything that generally comes in as a receipt would automatically be paid, whereas invoices and credit notes may not be paid. They may be processed but paid at a later stage.
And then the next section down, you've got due dates for invoices, and you've got default to a number of days after the invoice date, and how many days you've selected 7.
So majority of the invoices within Hong Kong are, especially for small businesses, are within 7 days. A lot of them are in fact due on receipt of the invoice, but generally I've put 7 days as a catch-all.
Excellent. The next section down is net amounts. Choose whether to show the net amounts on downloadable CSV files. So, and you've chosen here off. Do you use CSV files in your business at all?
I don't, but if I did, I still wouldn't want it because in Hong Kong we don't have any tax on any of the receipts or invoices, so it's not required here. So
although that's interesting.
Whether it's net amount or total amount, it's the same. So I just turned it off.
Excellent. Next section down, we've got categorization. Auto categorization is set to off, and instead you've got obey supplier rules set to on, and category display code and name, category sort by code. So what was your thought process behind that?
Yeah, so within Receipt Bank, everything I do is really at a supplier level. In my mind, there's nothing that can be done at a much higher level, the total Receipt Bank level, for receipts and invoices, because everything can be different. So to have a blanket default auto categorization code was just not going to work for me because I just don't think it can work that way. So everything I have here is against supplier. So that's why I've turned off auto categorization and turned on obey supplier rules.
Excellent. Thank you for sharing that. And then the next section down, we've got archiving. So your items will be archived after they've been published and after they've been added to an expense report. but not if they've been exported and not if they've been exported to either CSV or PDF forms. So what was your thought process behind that?
Again, I don't use CSV and PDF yet, so for me it was not a requirement. And even if I did, I'm not sure whether I would want that archived or not for future use, but definitely for published and to expense reports. But maybe in the future I can turn that on, but at the moment it's not a requirement.
Absolutely. Thank you for that. Can I get you to scroll up to the screen and click on integration? So here we're looking at the integration tab. So if I can work through this, you've integrated with Xero, you've got publish multiple currencies turned on, you've got default the publish to destination being purchases, publish items to purchases as awaiting payment, and publish expense reports to purchases as awaiting payment. So what was your thought process on that?
So for the published multiple countries, I do have the multi-currency Xero version, and so I do get invoices and receipts in different currencies, so that was a must for me. And then the default published to destination, majority of the bigger expenses would be invoices, so I thought purchases and awaiting payment would be the correct default options here.
And do you find based in Hong Kong, you're dealing with lots of different currencies? Are the businesses dealing with lots of different currencies there?
A lot of my clients only deal with, well, let's say half my clients deal with only within Hong Kong. So they only have the standard Xero option, but there are others which are dealing outside, which certainly would. So whether that's in Europe and Asia. So yes, certainly a lot of them will have multi-currency invoices and receipts.
So moving down to the tax settings, you've got publish tax data to purchases, allow receipt bank to decide, use tax lists listed as on, use supplier tax rates listed as off. What was your thought process behind that?
So again, in Hong Kong there is no tax, so it's all a bit of a wasted effort. This don't
tell receipt bank that.
So, I have tax exempt and I have tax on purchases zero, tax on sales zero, but it's all zero.
Yes.
That's the classification, but we don't report on tax in Hong Kong. So for me, just to allow receipt bank to decide, but have a drop-down list when I create my suppliers to put in one of those options. But again, for me, it's just it's there, but I don't really use it.
No worries. Can you scroll down just a bit further? Excellent. So here we have automatic publishing. Automatic publish all items, and that's actually turned to off. What was your thought process behind that?
Again, I'm not confident enough in receipt bank now to say whether a type of receipt or invoice can be auto-published. So again, everything's done at a supplier level for me, and I decide at that whether that supplier is auto-published or not. Maybe in the future, I'm confident that all receipts and all invoices will be auto-published. But I'd be very surprised if many people do that, to be honest, because there are always exceptions. And I'd rather treat those exceptions at a supply level rather than at the total receipt bank level.
So looking at the notification email settings there, you have the frequency set to instant, acknowledgement on, account on, processing on, and publishing on. What was your thought process behind that?
Because when I first took on receipt bank, I really wasn't unaware that potentially it could take 6 or 7 or 8 or 9 hours to process something. And I was expecting it to be done sort of within 30 minutes. So the reason I put everything on instant, because I wanted to know when it's been done, rather than come in every morning and log on and do that. So as soon as I know that it's been processed, I'll come in and actually deal with it then and there, rather than have a process where it's every morning.
Thank you so much for sharing how you've set up Receipt Bank. We really appreciate it.
No problem, Heather. Anytime.